What?
Subscribe.
Subscribe. We'll highlight all that. Don't you worry.
Just
But of
saying,
course,
you gotta remind people.
Subscribe right now.
Subscribe.
subscribe. Of course.
Philadelphia, baby, you're gonna love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
It's official. Benjamin Pirro. What's your middle name?
Don't worry about it.
What's your middle name, Ben?
Don't worry about it.
Come on, give me a hint. What's the
Cole.
letter?
It's Cole.
Cole?
Yeah.
Interesting. I would have never thought that. Benjamin Cole Pirro. Competing in the New York State Open next week. There's word that you have selected your caddy.
Oh, this is what we're talking about. Okay, I'm fine to discuss this. I did think this was the outro though.
We're moving it up.
That's fine.
Fuck
Yeah.
it, we'll do it live.
All right, shut up, Steven. Yeah, you're my caddy. We should probably set the over under to see how many times I'd tell you to shut up.
No, to be honest with you, I was talking to Kay about it, and she's like, do you talk much like on the course? I'm like, yeah, when I'm with friends. And she's like, I know that I've only ever seen Ben like once, and I've seen him much online. You're probably best off not saying a word the entirety of the round. Throw in like an AirPod and just like listen to music and just carry the bag and let him do. I know, but this is what she said. She was like, honestly, she's like don't speak, like speak when spoken to, and just chill out for the ride. And I'm like, you're not totally wrong.
No, she's actually pretty spot on.
But no, I am excited. I will be your therapist on course, and we're gonna fucking kick ass. Question is though, like, how much do I make when you win?
You're hilarious if you think I'm giving you a percentage of my earnings from a state open. That's hysterical.
Fine, a nice steak dinner.
Dude, I literally told you what I'm paying you per round and that I'm buying you food. Like, that's the deal here. Okay? I'm not rolling in cash like Bryson or Tiger. Like, give me a break. What do you think? What do you think this is? The Live Tour? No.
I fucking wish it was the Live Tour. Are you kidding me?
And so do I, but we're not there yet. So
one day we will with our NetJets contract. It'll be a good time. But yeah, no, looking forward to a really good time. Should be epic. Lots of laughs to be shared between you and I.
Yeah, no, it'll be fun. You know, I'm excited. It's a beautiful golf course. We'll be out there this Saturday at 2:30 to scope it out. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see how it's playing. The rough is going to be thick as always. The fairways are going to be narrow as always. The greens are usually pretty good, not super fast or anything. You know, you don't get too many difficult putts out there with the exception of like number 8 maybe.
Yeah.
Just because number 8 has 2 tiers and it's pretty hard to get back to that back tier. But no, I mean, it's gonna be a good week, man. You know, just stick to the 3 Ps. We're gonna have some fun. Just gonna hit some bombs, tack some pins, and make some putts, and that's what we're gonna do. Anyway, getting into the show. Bobby MacIntyre.
What are the 3 Ps?
Positive patient process.
I dig it.
Yeah,
I dig it. With that being said, let's get into the show. Welcome into the whole podcast. Steve McAvoy, Ben Pirro, recording Monday, the day of the home run derby. Pete Alonso is coming out just around the corner. Hopefully, he'll bring home another home run derby title. But we're not here to talk about baseball. We are here to talk about the great game of golf. Presented to you today and every day live in the underground by our friends over at Tomahawk Shades, the best small batch eyewear in the game. Paige Sporadic wears it, so why shouldn't you? Tomahawk Shades is guaranteed to keep you looking fresh from the first hole to the 18th green, and you might look as hot as Paige on the daily. Head to TomahawkShades.com or download the Tomahawk Shades app on the App Store or Google Play Store and browse their selection of sunglasses, blue light plus glasses, and prescription lenses. And use code USP for 25% off your next order. Again, code USP for 25% off your next order at TomahawkShades.com or the Tomahawk Shades app. Once again, recording live from the underground this week and every single week on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you can get your podcasts. Follow us on social media at Getting the Whole Pod, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, as well as Twitter. And of course, you can follow me and Ben at our socials. You can find Ben at BC Pirro and myself at Real Steve McAvoy. Ben, Bobby Mack this week not only earns his second victory of this season, but wins it with some controversy. I want to take a deep dive. Hopefully I can get a video feed to kind of show what exactly was going on in that moment. But for those who are watching over YouTube, but take us through what exactly occurred on 18. Was wearing metal spikes, according to Dottie Pepper, was apparently standing on a sprinkler head, got some free relief off of what was a disgusting lie and fescue, and was actually ultimately the clincher, getting him up and down for the win. But any insight to give from the pros perspective? Some said he was cheating. What's your take?
If you said he was cheating, you're an idiot, because as a professional golfer, you're supposed to know the rules, and it's your job to, if you can, use them to your advantage. At the end of the day, he was allowed to take free relief because he was standing on a sprinkler head. And I don't even think it had anything to do with his spikes. I think the bottom line is his practice swing unearthed a sprinkler head. It exposed it, which is in the rules. That happens. You can do that. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, he was standing on a sprinkler head, and he gets his free relief, nearest point of relief. And when you're taking a drop, your goal is to drop within that semicircle and get as good of a lie as you possibly can. Like, that's literally, you're picking a spot where there's not a lot of rough, or the rough is going with the ball, like with the shot. Okay. Mm-hmm. He did his job. He did what he's supposed to do. If you're saying he cheated, you're an idiot. That's literally, like, there are rules to everything in life, and you use those rules to your advantage. That's what you do. Yeah.
No, the situation, according to Kyle Porter, per Dottie Pepper, was that he had been wearing metal spikes, and had he been wearing plastic, he probably wouldn't have even noticed that the sprinkler head was there. But it came in the rotation of his backswing. He realized that his front foot was either up against or right on a sprinkler head. I'm trying to pull up the full quotes that Dottie had put out after the round. Please give me 1 second. I'm trying to pull it up. Jeez. Okay, so Bobby Mack said in the interview, I'm shouting and I'm swearing when I'm getting up to the ball, because I know that I have a chance to really make birdie coming in. I got over the ball, looked at it, thinking I'm in a bit of trouble here, might manage to move it maybe 100 yards. He does a step back and found himself standing right on a sprinkler head, about a foot or a foot and a half from the ball, right at his stance. I got spikes on the front three of my shoes, not on my shoes as spikes, just the front three studs as metal spikes. And initially it was like jarred up against it. So he ended up getting the free relief there. Again, it actually did come down to the fact that he had the metal spikes and it would cause damage to the sprinkler head. They ended up giving him the lie, and of course it led to a perfect up and down for the win. I agree that there was no cheating involved. Of course, again, your job is to use the rules as leverage for yourself. And I think even he said it the best in his post game. It was like, at the end of the day, it's a lucky break, and you have to use the rules to your advantage. Whether or not it's bush league, sure, you can call it that, but as Bobby said, it's just the kiss he needed. So good on Bobby. He really did deserve a big win, particularly in his home of Scotland. He's only the second golfer to win in Scotland, in his native Scotland, since Colin Montgomery. So really impressive.
Well, I mean, look, people, even if you say it's bush league, it's like everyone in life uses rules to their advantage.
Exactly.
It's like if that's what someone believes, that's just such a hypocritical statement. Like there was a point in time, like, I mean, look, I'll even bring up a different sport. Some team, I don't remember. I know it was the Rays were involved, Tampa Bay Rays, and it might have been the Blue Jays, perhaps. I think it was the Blue Jays. There's a play at home. Kiermaier slides into home plate. He's out. The catcher for the Blue Jays drops basically the scouting report for all of the players on the Rays.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't realize it. Kiermaier sees it. And he's basically, like John Boy Media pointed out, they're like, is this a team we could see in the postseason? Could this information that they have about us be incredibly important, like, and valuable? Yes. Kiermaier picks it up. Why wouldn't she pick it up? What are you going to do? Like, when your enemy makes a mistake, you don't stop them. Like that's just ridiculous. And so, like, and then,
exactly.
the Blue Jays get butthurt and I think they hit Kiermaier the next day, whatever. But it's like that's literally that's like a part of sports. Like you're not breaking the rules at all. Like the job of a professional athlete is to use the rules to your advantage. That's it. That's literally what it is. We see it all the time. Like when James Harden was doing like the travel 3-pointer, remember?
Yeah.
Like they didn't consider it a travel, and he just did it forever. Like, and everyone's looking at it like, dude, you can't do that. Well, until they start calling it, you can do it as much as you want. It's the same thing. Tom Brady, during COVID, they were having secret practices and they got caught. Everyone knows he's the GOAT, right? And no one remembers it. So I just think those are several examples, 3 different examples in 3 different sports of athletes either pushing the envelope or using it to their advantage. Like that is literally what happens. So as long as you're not breaking the rules, which he didn't do, you're good.
Exactly. And honestly, how can you get mad at that beautiful little face that Bobby's got? He's like a little 12-year-old just playing golf, having fun.
Hell yeah.
That's all it is. Quickly jumping into the ISCO Championship before we have a huge breakdown of what's going to happen this week at the Open. Of course, finally the final major of the year, which we're finally getting right to that final breaking point before the playoffs. The Olympics are coming up. We have the Open out in Scotland. Really exciting stuff. A quick little wrap up, and I love alternate opposite field events for this very reason, and we've highlighted it this year a lot between Puerto Rico and Butterfield and other events like such. 5-man playoff going into 72. Everyone goes up and down for par. Harry Hall chips in for the win, earns his first win in I think maybe ever. I cannot tell you when Harry Hall's last won a PGA Tour event. But also guys like Rigo Hui and Pearson Coody, Zach Laird, Neil Shipley all put up great performances. It's one of those weeks where the event almost got more interest than the Scottish Open, more because of the fact that you had so many guys that were fighting to try and lock in a 2-year membership or, again, access like Harry Hall's getting into the Open this week. The 5 players in the ISCO have been pros for a combined 32 years. Yes, here we go. They had none had ever won a PGA Tour event, and all 5 of them. I watched the 73rd hole. Those guys played every drive was like they were playing the last hole of golf in their life. It was absolutely incredible to watch, and honestly, I was more interested than the 5-man build-up at the top of the board for the Scottish. So really great overall event. I'm excited now that we get to go into the Open following up a great event like that.
Yeah, I mean, look, like I agree 100% with you, our good friend over at Monday Q Golf. So I think it's these guys who play in these alternate field events. Like a lot of them are definitely established. Some of them, not as established as others. Some of them are pretty much fresh faces on the tour. Some of them are guys who have actually been around for a long time. And so there's quite a, I mean, just looking at let me pull the leaderboard back up. Come on. Yeah. So looking at the leaderboard, I mean, we have guys who do have a little bit of success, who have had a lot of success on tour, actually. Song You'll Know, he's been on tour forever, finished tied for 6th at 20 under. And then, Lanto Griffin's had a lot of success on the PGA Tour. Ches Reavie has been out there forever, man. And like, those are all guys who are still playing and they're trying to do their best to keep their cards. And Ryan Moore's another guy. I mean, Ryan Moore was a household name for a very, very long time.
Oh yeah.
And so, and then you see these newer guys like Rico Oy, and he was a stud as a high school. He was a stud in college. I don't know where he went to school. He was a big time talent though. Maybe you could find that out for me. But
he went to USC.
Okay. Yeah. I think he's from Southern California. So, but that just shows that the difference in just the career arc of those guys on tour, and they're all fighting for the same thing. And these smaller events that they're playing in, this can make or break their year. This can buy them 2 more years of full status on the PGA Tour. And I do believe this gets Harry Hall into the Masters anyway, even though it is even though it is an alternate event. I mean, this type of event is such a stepping stone for someone, regardless of your age. And I do think that it might have been a little bit more popular just due to the fact of the time difference. They're playing over in Scotland versus in the middle of the United States, essentially. So that does have something to do with it. But at the end of the day, there's nothing cooler than watching an athletic event where something means so much to a group of individuals. That's literally the knock on the NBA. You watch them play and you're like, this is awful because none of them look like they care, or a very small percentage of them care. They don't play defense. But the flip side, you go watch a college basketball tournament and they're playing their asses off. They play both ends of the floor. It means everything to them. And look, like in golf, it means everything to these guys, regardless of if it's the Open Championship or the ISCO Championship. These guys care so much. And when you have guys like this, who some are proven, some aren't, not really household names to the casual golf fan, and they care so much, and you can see that in a 5-man playoff, that is amazing TV. Like, that's something. A little side note, that's probably something Liv would like to have.
Absolutely.
I hate to be that guy, and you and I both do understand, and like, we don't hate Liv. We're very much like, we understand why guys go to Liv, but that's something that Liv would like to have, because the knock on Liv is like, well, they get all these guys, they pay them all this money, and like, do all of them like really care? Because like, Dustin's not really the most motivated to win majors. It's pretty obvious, like based on some of the things he said. Brooks only cares about the majors, so how motivated is he really on a regular basis? Like, this is a group of guys. They're like, we have this opportunity and we're going to do the best that we can. And that's also how you feel good about yourself too, even if you don't win. So,
and again, like I even look at someone like you, right? And not to the level that they're at quite yet, but even you've been saying you've been on a bender so far over the last 3-4 weeks. You haven't won a tournament, but you lose in a playoff. Yeah, it sucks in that moment, but you don't realize how important that is for momentum down the line. And then you bring up actually a really cool point with Liv. Like, Victor Hovland once again is back in the news about possibly going to Liv, or how his agent was making like strides to possibly go there earlier in the year, but it's kind of lagged off now. But like, Liv's trying to go after Victor Hovland, but I think I said this probably 7 or 8 months ago. It would be more worthwhile for Liv to have, let's take, instead of Victor Hovland, right, and paying him $200 million to play, if you picked up Corey Connors, Ryan Fox, and give me some other player in the mid-70s, 80s, Nikolai Højgaard, like, those are 3 really talented players that you can get for the same kind of money. At that point, you're playing Moneyball, literally, with the kind of guys that you're trying to get on.
You could literally, dude, you could look at the first page of the leaderboard for the ISCO Championship. All these guys are incredibly talented. You could literally, like, quote unquote, Moneyball with all these guys: Harry Hall, Matt Naismith, Zach Blair, Rico Oy, like, Parker Cootie. Like, it's Pearson Coody. You could literally, you could have so much more value if you just allocated that set number of dollars, whatever their immense budget is, to the group of guys, rather than just getting one guy who, quite frankly, hasn't really been that good anyway this year. He's had moments, but like it's been a very underwhelming year. I don't want to go on a tangent about LIV. I didn't mean to get us down that path, but you can't help but notice. You really cannot help but notice it. You can't.
But again, and it goes back to the idea of the depth and the ability that PGA Tour is able to churn out new talent. You even look at guys who weren't on top of the leaderboard and were just in the field this week. Your favorite player on earth, like Sam Ryder was playing this week. Dylan Wu, Brandon Wu was playing as well. You kind of dig a little bit deeper down towards the lower half. Hayden Springer, Russell Knox, JJ Spawn, who won the Valero 2 years ago. Patton Kiesire trying to get back to the very top. Brant Snedeker has been around forever, has been playing for a very long time. Hayden Buckley, Garrett Higo, newer face from South Africa. The Bryans. So there are plenty of talent. Even Joel Damon this week playing in here. Justin Suh. There's a lot of talent to go around that we're even getting in the DP World Tour ranks. And last week we brought up like Luke Clanton, who is a sophomore, I believe, in college. He played decent this week. I don't believe he made the cut, but still for a 20-year-old to be able to go out and play with the big boys and do a decent job to even come close to the cut line is still a impressive feat nonetheless. And it's like LIV has done a little bit with trying to get those guys, like they've tried to get David Puig in the past. They've gotten on some of those former U.S. amateurs who were making the initial jump, but they kind of seem to stray away from that a little bit, and those guys have kind of seemed to fade off into existence. So it'd be interesting to see if they were to go after some of these guys, but alternate events are also great because it shows you the value that the PGA Tour has and what the future actually does look like. Because eventually we're going to have a situation where Rico Hui's 28 years old. He turned pro in 2017. Was on the web.com. Hasn't gotten up to this level yet, and it's been a long time. And it shows A, golf's really challenging, and B, there's a ton of talent that the second they hit their stride, you have no idea where they could possibly go. And you can find a guy like a Ludwig Oberg or a Michael Torbjornsson, who's as young as they are, and come out of nowhere, or even Scotty Scheffler come out of nowhere at 25. Took him 4 years to get up to where he is, and I was the number one player in the world. We're going to take a short break. On the other side, we're going to get right into our entire breakdown of the Open Championship at Royal Troon. We're back to another historic golf course to finish out major season. For Stephen Ben from the Underground, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with, again, the Open Mega Preview. We'll be right back.
Get in the Hole is brought to you by PHI Apparel Company, our incredible merch partners. PHI Apparel Co. provides unique designs and high-quality clothing from t-shirts to hoodies for every golfer around. With their original designs for all, there's no doubt you'll stand out on the course, the driving range, or at the 19th hole. Go to phiapparel.co and use code UNDERGROUND at checkout for 10% off any order. That's code UNDERGROUND at phiapparel.co and grab exclusive Get in the Hole podcast merch and support your favorite golfers.
What's going on, everybody? This episode of the Get in the Hole podcast is brought to you by our friends over at Acorn Hills. And as the great Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, the creation of 1,000 forests is in one acorn. Acorn Hills Company would like to add, it is what one does with that acorn that creates a better tomorrow, to the end of that quote. Nate, amazing guy. It was awesome meeting Nate when we first brought Acorn Hills on board and they got on board with us. The founder of Acorn Hills puts ink to the paper of this story with a vision he saw for a better tomorrow through clothing. As an outdoorsman himself, Nate set out to combine his two passions, looking good and the great outdoors, whatever that activity may be, by providing things such as biodegradable packaging and plantable clothing tags, which, if you haven't heard, are basically the coolest idea ever. We pay homage to our Acorn logo by practicing what we preach. Along with this, Acorn Hills focuses on giving back to its community by taking the initiative to help revitalize forests and areas of land that fill this great place we call Earth. With a percentage of sales donated to charities and organizations such as the National Forest Foundation and others that align with these goals, we create this better tomorrow. People have asked, why choose clothing? It's simple, really. When you look good, you feel good, and when you feel good, you do good. We just help you get there. Although Nate may have been alone when he started this, our roots now run very deep. You'll never look at acorns the same way again, huh? You're welcome. You guys can go to acornhillsco.com. Check out all the awesome apparel and merchandise they have available to you. And when you go to checkout, use code GITH15. That's GITH15 for 15% off your next order from our friends at Acorn Hills. And look your best from the ground up. Hey everyone, it's KB, and I am beyond excited to bring you this breaking news about a new project here at Underground Sports Philadelphia. Introducing Light the Flame, an Olympics podcast where all of your favorite Underground Sports Philadelphia personalities will come together to discuss, banter, and break down the Olympic Games. Coming soon wherever you get your podcasts and on our YouTube channel throughout the 2024 Olympics and beyond.
She is literally as old as they come. The Open Championship started in 1860, and over 150 years later, here we are going back to Royal Troon, first time since 2016. Ben, pull out your historian hat. Who won in 2016 the Royal Troon?
Oh God. Okay, 2016.
He lapped the field. It was like him and somebody else.
Rory was 14. That was the year before I graduated from high school. Who was really good back then?
So really, like the leaderboard, this guy won a 20 under, which by the way is the aggregate record at the Open. Next guy up finished at 17 under, and the third place player, JB Holmes, finished at 6 under par.
Okay.
20 under, 17 under, 6 under.
6 under was third place.
Yeah.
It was 2016.
A final round score of 8 under par for this player to win.
Henrik Stenson.
Henrik Stenson beat Phil Mickelson by 3 strokes. This leaderboard is ridiculous to look at. It was Stenson, Mickelson, JB Holmes, Steve Stricker in solo 4th, Sergio, Rory, and Tyrrell Hatton T5, Dustin Johnson T9, Gary Woodland and Zach Johnson T12 with Emiliano Grillo and Patrick Reed. This is a ridiculous leaderboard to look back on and think, wow, this happened only 8 years ago.
Yes. I was trying to think. Well, because I'm sitting there, I'm trying to think. Like 2016. All right, that's 8 years ago. Like, this person probably is not that relevant in the game of golf anymore, and so because it's changed so much, and around that time, that's when Henrik won a FedEx Cup. Right around that time as well. Like that was the best version of Henrik Stenson in professional golf we had ever seen. I mean, and to be honest, I mean, that course fit him perfectly. Because I don't really, I think he's on LIV, if I'm not mistaken. I know he was on LIV at one point.
Yeah.
But anytime he could play a golf course where he could just bust 3-wood, because for an older guy, he hit it so far. And honestly, that's pretty much the perfect style of golf course. This course is the perfect style of golf course for him because he just does not have to hit driver. And he had this old 3-wood and he would hit the absolute crap out of it. It was really something to be seen. It really was. I mean, one of the purest ball strikers. If there's someone whose game is built for an Open Championship, it's him, because he was not always the greatest putter in the world from what I remember, but his iron play and his ability to hit 3-wood off the tee is, honest to God, some of the best I'd ever seen in that area of his game. Really. I mean, honestly, like one of the most underrated ball strikers in the 2010s, in all honesty.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So the 152nd Open Championship, again, started out in 1860, organized by the R&A, the largest prize money fund in R&A history. This year, more than what we saw 2 years ago at St. Andrews for the 150th. The incumbent that we have, Brian Harman, we'll see if he can outlast the rest of the field this week. But there's something to be said about a golf course like Royal Troon and how historic it actually is in the grand scheme. It's hosted a handful of these majors in the past. It is known as one of the top 100 greatest courses ever created, arguably one of the top 10 greatest courses ever created in the history of Scotland. It's hosted, I believe, 10 of these 10 majors. This might be the 10th one ever. It's, I think, like 4th or 5th all time in most Open Championships hosted. Just a absolutely incredible golf course. The postage stamp greens, the true testament of link style golf that we really have in this sport. And I'm uber looking forward to what's going to happen this week. Conditions seem to be very windy, a little bit wet on Thursday. Plenty of wind throughout the entirety of the week. Something to very much look after when it comes to seeing who is going to be the players that we want to play their absolute best. A par 71, 7,100 yards in length. The old course is where they'll be playing. Originally a George Strait design, redesigned by James Braid in 1923. What's your take on Royal Troon this week? What do you know about it? What do you think is the most important thing for a lot of these guys this week to conquer in order to win the Open?
I mean, look, I think based on the last time, being that Stenson won it at 20 under, Phil was at 17, then third place was 6. And given the weather conditions that you've given, I have a feeling that it's going to be closer to the 6, maybe the 7, 8, 9 range under par. Look, I mean, it's possible that someone just absolutely goes just insane and has just a mega tournament, I had to throw that in there. I saw a mega breakdown and I was just like, that's just too good. That's great.
Well, it also helps considering the incumbent champion is a mega winner.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But I feel strongly that the winner is going to be probably between like 7 to 10 under par. I really do believe that if the weather is what they're saying it's going to be, it should be a firm and fast golf course. I think the most important part when you're playing in windy conditions is to use the wind as the buffer. Okay, if you can make your mind understand that I'm going to use the wind to my advantage and curve the ball against the wind, not curve the ball with the wind, because that's everyone's biggest fear, is losing the ball with the wind. Mm-hmm. So if you can do that, all these guys know how to flight their shots. They're all going to know how far they're flying each club, what the runouts are. All of that's obviously very important because links golf is placement golf. That's what it is. You have to avoid all the bunkers. You have to avoid all the thick fescue, the gorse bushes. I'm sure they do have gorse bushes there. The most important thing is being able to control your ball in the wind. And that's not necessarily trajectory. That's really front to back, like really making sure that the ball doesn't go offline. Or if it does go offline, it's because you hit it offline against the wind. That's the most important part. putting, it's interesting because the greens aren't going to be that fast. They're never that fast for Open Championships because of how windy it generally is.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, you have to have a lot of stones to hit a 4-footer where it's breaking right to left, but the wind is off the left at 25 to 30 miles an hour. You really got to be confident with your reads. So green reading and the ability to use the ball, hit the ball against the wind, I think those are two of the most important things you can do this week. And obviously, like avoiding all the pot bunkers and everything. Yes.
So the interesting little quip that I actually just discovered about Royal Troon. The motto of Royal Troon on their seal is a little Latin term. It says "Tam arte quam marte," which means literally as much by skill as by strength, which is the perfect meaning for what it's going to take to win at Royal Troon this week. Windy gusts, 25 miles an hour. They're planning on. The front nine should play relatively easy with the seaward style golf course where the wind's going to be pushing off of the coast, which is only going to help with the first 6 holes of the golf course. The back nine will play incredibly tough. So you're going to see a lot of situations. Guys who begin their round on the back nine versus the front nine might see some really good scores in the morning rounds on the front as opposed to the afternoon rounds in the front and vice versa with the back. One of the really interesting things about Royal Troon that I think stands out amongst the rest, and you brought it up, was not only playing into the wind, but also the idea that these greens are going to be really slow. Now, last week at the Scottish Open, they had said that the greens were notoriously slow. They were rolling slower than any other event on both the DP World Tour and the PGA Tour that year. But with that being said, a lot of guys did struggle with those short putts, trying to basically push it up and on the course, particularly. And they always say the best lie you can have is an uphill lie. You can hinge a little more on it. You can fight. You can force the ball up a little more. Even in those situations, it's an incredibly challenging golf course to try and conquer. And this course is no exception. Really small greens, windy conditions, true link style golf. But the real determinant here is that this course is actually relatively small comparatively to other link style courses we've seen at the Open in the past. They were saying earlier on in the week that guys with the kind of technology that we now possess in the golf game comparative to 2016, guys could try and manhandle this golf course. There are a couple of par fives that you might be hitting a mid-iron into on those par fives. A lot of par fours that are gettable for the long players, like a Bryson, like a Rory, can very well get it up there. The question is the wind direction going to be able to get you there? I think the funny part about when Henrik Stenson and Phil Mickelson went head-to-head here in 2016 compared to the field is that they had conditions that were so perfect. And even their 3-woods, that they're playing into the wind the entirety of the round, but no one else is able to match their ability to shape the ball. This golf course is, like it says, more about skill than it is about your strength. I'm looking at the guys who aren't necessarily the longest hitters of the golf ball, because even though you can manhandle it, I'm looking at someone like Bryson who might be sailing over greens because he's getting a little bit too overzealous with the golf shot. A simple golf game is going to go a very long way. And back in 2016, after Henrik and Phil had played so well, they said, we're not going to let this happen ever again. We're not going to let someone try and shoot 20 under par at this golf course. This golf course is too good to not show its teeth. So I'm looking forward to a 7 under, 8 under score. If they get up to the double digits, I would be relatively surprised. With that being said, let's break down everything and get into some talk. Actually, before we even get to our beer money picks, I want to go over one thing that.
Yes, I want to talk about this so bad.
One thing that stood out to me actually came from Scottishman Colin Montgomery. He had made a mention in an interview during the Scottish Open about Tiger Woods coming to play this week at Royal Troon. I want to read the quote as is. He told golf.com at Pinehurst, he, meaning Tiger, did not seem to enjoy a single shot, and you think, what the hell is he doing? He's coming to Troon, and he won't enjoy it there either. This is according to a reporter from the Times that interviewed Colin Montgomery, a previous Open champion here in Scotland. What do you make of Colin's comments about Tiger Woods? Do you think that Tiger is only doing this for the vanity, or do we still think that he still thinks in his heart of hearts that he could very well win?
I don't think Colin Montgomery ever won an Open Championship.
I believe he won in Scotland, not an Open Championship.
No, he never won a major. Look, this is coming from a player who has always been incredibly opinionated, for sure. And number one, Tiger Woods never really looks like he has fun when he's playing golf because he's so serious.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. So I don't know if he's been living under a rock for the past 25 years or so, but Tiger Woods doesn't smile much when he plays. He's ultra focused, okay? This is a guy who has been practicing hypnosis since he was 5 years old. The guy knows how to lock in, okay? And that's number one. Number two, when you've been playing as poorly as he has been playing, you're probably not going to look like you're having a lot of fun, right? I mean, Steve, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but if you were in his position and you were struggling with everything that he has been struggling with his golf game physically, and then it's not going well in front of millions of people, you probably wouldn't be having a lot of fun, would you?
No, you would easily be struggling, yeah.
Exactly. You wouldn't be having fun anyway. So I don't really understand where his comments are coming from. That's the first thing. Look, that being said, Tiger he said this is probably my last event of the year, that just shows he's not healthy. And at the end of the day, this is how it's going to be. You know, he's going to play the 4 majors. He'll play the LA Open. I certainly hope that he's somehow able to get into, the Arnold Palmer, the Memorial, because those events, I'm sure, mean a lot to him because he had such a good relationship with Arnold Palmer. And Jack Nicklaus was, I believe, his idol growing up. I mean, it was always about Tiger chasing Jack, right? So if this is, I don't know if Tiger Woods believes that he can do it. At the end of the day, though, he's showing face, and that alone is so valuable for professional golf, just from a viewership standpoint. I mean, all of those sponsors win when he shows up because of the eyes that are on their products, because he's there, even if it's only for 2 rounds. So, I think everyone feels bad for him that it's gotten to this point where he's only playing 5 times a year, essentially. It really is sad because he's 45. At the end of the day, if he's not having fun, no, of course he's not having fun because it's not going well. No one has fun at something when they're not good at it at that time. And he's the greatest to ever do it. So his expectations will forever be through the roof. That's the other thing, And so now, it's hard when you get older to have to reshape your expectations on something that you're literally the greatest to ever do it. I mean, this guy sat there after he won, I think it was the 2008 Arnold Palmer Invitational. He wins, makes a long putt. He went to the range at his course in Windermere, Florida. I think it was Isleworth. And he hit, I believe, hundreds of balls of the same shot that he hit on 18 that he wasn't happy with over and over and over. Okay, that just shows his expectations were just out of this world. But his expectations can't be that high anymore either. And that's something that's really hard for someone who was so good to have to change 15 years later, 20 years later. That's hard. So I'm happy he's playing this week. I think it's great for golf that he's still competing, even though it's a little bit. And I just think I don't really understand why Colin had to say those things about Tiger. Like, of course, he's not going to be having fun. If Tiger was honest, be like, yeah, you think it's fun making 2 triples in round 2 of the PGA? No, it's not fun, Colin. It's not. So that's what I have to say.
Yeah, and I think this is more about Colin Montgomery just trying to get his name in the news more than it is Tiger Woods simply standing on business and doing what he has to do. I think that when you're the kind of player like Tiger is, who obviously has this mass media attention and has a lot of different things going on, and he's one of the heads of the PGA Tour's basically brand, whether or not he's a part of any policy boards or teams or PGA Tour enterprises, or he's involved in negotiations with the PIF, or there's Tomorrow Golf and the TGL. He's so heavily involved in all this stuff that he would almost be remiss to not show up. It's the same thing as guys, past champions of the Masters, going to play. They're not going to win anything, but they go out, they show face. It's their moment. Colin Montgomery, not to sound like an absolute asshat when I say this, but he hasn't won anything meaningful in 20 years. Why are you trying to attack somebody who at this point is going to do what he has to do? It's a business meeting. And Tiger Woods is not there, like you said, to have fun. He's there to do business. He goes to golf events, and he is there with the Mamba mentality to go and win. He isn't there to go and have fun and just screw around, play 2 rounds of golf and go home. It's not what he's about. Tiger's said his entire life, if I'm not playing in an event, it's because I don't think I can win it. But when I do play it, I think I could win it. Whether or not he's going to do anything over the next 2 days is to be seen. But I'm very much interested in seeing if Tiger can respond to this. I'd love to actually see in an interview either tomorrow, on Tuesday, or Wednesday, if he gives any quotes. If he is to reply to Colin, see what he would say. I feel like he'd be very gracious about it. He wouldn't be talking shit, but there's no reason for him to be attacked the way he is being.
I agree with everything you just said. And if he is asked about it, just seeing the history, because he has had some very opinionated people in professional golf kind of go after him. And Tiger was always the kind of guy who he didn't really ever give a quote. And if he did, it was just like, it was actually like pretty incredible. Like, he had a spat with Nick Faldo in 2005, I think it was basically ripping the guy to shreds. He had the Farmers Insurance Open at Torrey Pines locked up. He fanned his 5-iron or 4-iron, whatever it was, out to the right in 18, missed the green. He was working on some stuff with Hank Haney, his, at the time, new swing coach, and Faldo's like, why is his face so open at the top? Like, blah, 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 blah. And they got paired together at the Open. Tiger obviously didn't like what the guy had to say, and Tiger just basically embarrassed him on the golf course to the point where Tiger ended up winning, I believe, that week. He won another Open Championship. And then years later, Brandel Chambly said something, shocker, about Tiger. And, Tiger was very blunt, and he said, well, he's entitled to his own opinion. Essentially, I'm paraphrasing. He's entitled to his own opinion. And then I believe this is actually a quote, but he's no longer playing anymore. So be it.
Yeah.
If someone asks him about it, he's probably just going to give you the typical, like, he's entitled to his own opinion. And, he's just going to be very, like, cut and dry with it, and to be honest, he's going to handle it a lot better with a microphone in his face. He's going to handle it a lot better than 99% of the people would, because most people would be like, okay, what's the most notable thing Colin Montgomery's done since 2010? Win the Ryder Cup? Like, give me a break. Like, let's be honest, that's the most relevant thing he's done in the past 15 years. So, but that's not Tiger. So, that being said, let's get into beer money.
Let's do it. Let's talk more about what to expect.
I need a big week, Steve. This is ridiculous.
Hey, you know what? We each took home one. Could add a little bit more. Had
had some things turn the right way. I came about, I don't know, a cumulative 6 slots from adding on 2 more onto you, but unfortunately it didn't happen.
I will say one thing before we start. When I was making my final selection, after I made my final selection last week for my winner, who I picked to win, I was like, you know what? Bobby MacIntyre I'm not kidding. He popped into my head, and I was like, nah, dude, like you made your pick. It's fine. And then I'm like, of course he wins. Of course he wins.
You know, this week actually broke a streak. I've had, for the last 6 straight weeks, my pick to win has finished in the top 10, but has not won. And 3 times it's finished either solo second or within the top 3. So that unfortunately broke this week with Tommy Fleetwood not playing his greatest at the Genesis. We'll see if Tommy Fleetwood ends up back in my picks. Who knows? We'll find out. But let's talk more about what's it going to take to win at Royal Troon and delve a little deeper into the folks who very well might do it on this rendition of the Open Championship beer money presented by Kenwood Beer. Who's Kenny? Well, first of all, he's a lot cooler than most guys named Colin. He's smooth, he's clean, he's bright with a taste to boot. He's the routine choice of folks who want a balanced, flavorful, no frills beer that is right for any occasion. Just 120 calories and 8 grams of carbs. Some call it the best light beer they've ever had. We just say you can't beat the original. You might not be able to get it this week in England, but you can most certainly bring it across the pond if you go to kenwoodbeer.com and use the Kenny Tracker to find where you can get your hands on some ice-cold, refreshing Kenwood beers. As you watch the 152nd Open Championship, you can get it from your favorite liquor stores in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, and now Delaware, as well as at the Wells Fargo Center and beyond. Must be 21 years or older to do so. And, of course, please drink responsibly. As per usual with our major championship picks, we begin with the player that you think will make and miss the cut. And we begin with the make the cut selection. Ben, how are you feeling?
I feel pretty good about these picks. I'm going to go with Nikolai Højgaard to make the cut. And then we talked about this player in passing earlier on the show. I don't even know if I used that right. Passively, I don't even know. Whatever. Yeah, whatever. I'm going to go with Dustin Johnson to miss the cut. And I think that might raise some eyebrows. These 2 players, by the way, are pretty much neck and neck on the odds boards. Okay. Their odds for wins, top 5s, top 10s, they're very, very similar, if not identical, based on the category. Okay. But the reason why I'm going with Dustin to miss the cut, I have it from an inside source. He's not exactly the most motivated guy. And I feel like based on the fact that he is $75 million richer now that he's on LIV, I think that's what his contract was. Given the conditions, how they're not exactly going to be the friendliest, Adam not that motivated, I could definitely see if the going gets tough, he's just like, whatever, I'm out of here after 2 rounds anyway. Yep. So I could definitely see it getting to that point because he's been a non-factor all year in the majors. He has been a non-factor. And the fact that he is that far down the odds boards to begin with, you would have never thought that 5 years ago. So that just shows what the gambling experts think about his chances.
Yeah, no, I totally agree on the Dustin Johnson pick. I think it's kind of staggering how like the LIV retirement narrative is very real for some. It's actually funny. I was gonna pick Louis Oosthuizen to miss the cut this week, and then I realized that in 3 of the last 4 Open Championships he's finished top 20, and I'm like, maybe the LIV retirement show isn't necessarily all that it's cracked up to be. But for a guy like Dustin Johnson, it really is staggering to see the fall off that shows from a player of his caliber from what we saw in 2020 when he won the Masters to now. It's a complete 180 of direction. My make and miss the cut picks this week. I'm going to go with to make the cut. I'm going to go with Justin Rose. I stand firm on this idea that it's skill versus strength. And there's something about Justin Rose's game at majors and at golf courses that are more technically tuned, he's just been a tremendous golfer throughout the last 3 years, and you don't even realize it because it's where everywhere else he doesn't necessarily play well, but he plays well where it matters the most to him. And one of those places happens to be whenever he comes overseas, back to his native in the British Isles. So I love Justin Rose to make the cut. I also love Justin Rose for a top 20. I'm probably going to end up putting money there. On the side to miss the cut, I'm going to go with Max Homa. Again, has not been playing his best golf the entirety of the year. It's been a very humdrum kind of middle of the pack year. Hasn't done anything.
It's been weird.
Special.
It's weird.
Like there again, a few names that I've been like airing out. I think Victor Hovland, while he's still hitting his peak, he didn't play well this past week. But I think Homa just stands out as a name who's like right around he's like right in the minus territory to make to hit top 40, which is like crazy. I think he is in the same category as like Jason Day, Davis Thompson, Sepp Straka. I really think he's worse than that. He shouldn't even be around there. So I'm going to ride with Homa to miss the cut. Top 20.
I'm going to go with someone who's been playing pretty good golf as of late. This particular player, it almost looked like his career could have been dead a couple years ago, but he got hot at the right time, made it all the way to the Tour Championship, I believe 2 years ago. And he has firmly established himself as, a guy who's just not going away quietly. I could see this guy winning certainly more PGA Tour events because I know he takes care of himself physically and how hard he works. He is forever one of the most beautiful swings on tour. I could even see him winning another major. I really could. I'm going to go, not this week, Adam Scott for top 20.
Yeah, no, Adam Scott played great this past week in Scotland. I don't know what it is, though, with Adam Scott. I always pick him in majors, and he always disappoints me every single time.
Well, I do think part of it has to do with the putting. He's never really been a good putter.
Yeah.
And, then when you could, lock the belly putter in or the long putter in, he got really good really quick. But then, they banned that rule. So he kind of went back to being, pedestrian at best with putting. With that being said, I could see him playing well this week, given, the green speeds. If you're not a very good putter, you prefer slower greens, right? And so, yeah, the kicker with him is going to be short putts, though, like with anybody, like we said earlier. So that's why I picked him to finish top 20. There is definitely some value there, for sure. You could certainly do worse with your top 20 pick.
Oh, yeah, no, most certainly can do worse. And honestly, at plus 225, it's a really safe bet. And the fact that you can get Adam Scott in the same range as guys like Jordan Spieth and Siwoo Kim, it's actually some really good value. Again, I'm riding with this skill, with this technical skill over strength mantra for the week. There's a couple of tidbits that I want to point out here. Some betting trends that I've seen per the fantasy grind. Jeff, 7 of the past 12 winners of the Open Championship have been 35 or older. 8 of the last 12 have been age 32 or older. So we're looking a little bit older on these picks. 15 of the last 18 winners had achieved a T9 or better finish at this major in a previous year. 5 of the past 6 winners had played in the Open at least 4 times prior to winning. And 4 of the last 6 winners had recorded a T11 or better at one of this year's first 3 majors. Every single one of the guys who I'm picking this week have that metric locked up. And I'm going to begin top 20, Hideki Matsuyama at plus 175. Straight as a whistle, simple player, does hit it far, but hits it very technically sound, really strong on the green so far in his last 4 tournaments of golf. Really love the pick here for Hideki at plus 175. Top 10.
All right, top 10. I'm going to go with someone who's at plus 400 odds.
Ooh.
Okay, a lot of value here. I'm a little bit surprised that those are his odds for a top 10. This particular player is very much familiar with this kind of weather on these specific kinds of golf courses. I'm going to go with Shane Lowry. I'm very surprised that he's not higher up there given for his top 10 odds. Plus 400. I mean, I'm just like, I feel very confident that will hit by Sunday evening. I'm very confident. So,
yeah, no, I have Shane Lowry somewhere else in these picks, and I will reveal the reasoning why shortly.
Easy.
But top 10 for me, this is the one exception to my skill over strength rule, even though he really is very technically sound in the way he plays golf. Plus 360, Tony Finau. There's something that is going to be really strong when you have a guy who's a really good ball striker, a really good putter on slow greens, but also has the strength to be able to reach those pins and knock it into a proximity close enough to the hole where your putts are easier. He's one of the top 10 players in the field this week in proximity to the hole this season, and he loves playing on small greens, which we have here at Troon. Top 5.
All right, this particular player has already won an Open Championship. He's won 2 majors. I can definitely see at plus 350 for a top 5. Those are pretty good odds. There's a lot of value there as well. Everyone knows I'm a big value kind of guy. Look, he's not the most physically gifted ball striker in the world, but that being said, he rarely hits it offline. And I trust his putter for the week. I really do, because, and we've talked about this player before, when he misses putts, let me put it this way, when he's having an off day and he's not making a lot of mid-range or 25, 30 footers, his speed and his cadence are always so locked in, they are near misses. And so he rarely 3-putts. And that means he's also good at making short putts. The short game has always been a kind of a question with this player. He's obviously worked on it and has improved. It has improved statistically. I'm going to go with Colin Morikawa.
So this is where things get fun. I have like five names that I have highlighted on my little sheet.
Oh God.
Yeah, this is probably the hardest pitch I'm going to make all day, and I'll give you all 5 of them.
Steve has been in the lab.
Yeah, no, I've been cooking this pick all week. So, and I'll give you all of my reasons for these. Tyrrell Hatton, for the sole purpose that his putting on slow greens is really good, and he likes to play a ton when it comes to playing here in the British Isles. John Rahm, who by all accounts has had a very weak season, but he's also the first person to tell you that he's one major win away from having a really good year. Rory, because backdoor top 5s are his go-to, and I know that he won't win anyways. 4 is going to be Patrick Cantlay. Fits in every single facet of this golf course and hits it well enough. But he's a little bit too offline, so there's a little bit of a head scratcher there. And then my 5th guy that I'm throwing out is again an older player, another live guy as well, who seems to just play really well at golf courses like this, and it's Louis Oosthuizen. With that being said, my top 5 is, I really don't know who to take, but I'm going to go a little bit on the safer end, and I'm going to ride with John Rahm for a top 5. I wouldn't even say it's really a safe pick, because he's still plus 5. He's still plus 500. But like, still,
Steve, that is a serious gamble.
It's still, look, he's still one of the most talented golfers on earth, and I get it. He hasn't played up to snuff. He still finished top 10 in almost every single event that he's played. He finished T10 at Andalusia this past week. There were some positive takeaways. He was first on the week in greens and reg. He played really well in those windy conditions. He actually is 4th in the field in strokes gained playing in windy conditions. And when it comes to link style golf, he's the 15th ranked player in the field. In his last 4 Open Championships, he finished T11, T3, T34, and T2 respectively. When he finished T2, a similar golf course to what we're dealing with here. T3, similar golf course to what we're dealing with here. Again, I've been holding off on Rahm all year because I think he's been just his head's been out of it. But I think he needs to get right week, and I think a top 5 here is it's a stretch, totally. But I think he has the skill set to overcome. Your gimme pick this week.
Okay, my gimme pick. Oh gosh, this is always a hard one for me. I'm going to go with Tom Kim for a top 20.
Also a pick that I was highly considering at some point in this realm.
Oh.
All right. Death Taxes, Corey Connors, top 20. Death Taxes, Xander Schauffele, top 10. And then this one, which we don't acknowledge nearly enough. 17 straight Open Championships. This man has finished top 25. 17 major events straight. He's finished top 25. Shane Lowry, plus 140. I also really do think Shane Lowry can win this week. I am.
Wait a minute. I'm so confused. So what is your pick?
Shane Lowry, top 25.
That's your pick. Okay, good. I want
17 straight majors. He's finished top 25.
Okay, cool. Awesome. I was going to say, you're not getting 3 picks, dude.
And Shane Lowry, by the way, is I already have a futures bet for him to win this event, and I think he can seriously do it. Just he's a clinical golfer. Like he plays his game. Your winning pick for the 152nd Open.
All right, look, here's the deal. Here's my logic, okay? It's, with Scotty being plus 450, it shows that the field has kind of leveled out a little bit the past several months after he was just tearing up the PGA Tour. I mean, it was just a joke. Look, the gap between him, and the rest of the world is still pretty significant. I do not trust Rory at all, especially based on what we saw at Pinehurst late in the back nine on Sunday. Xander won a major, and for some reason, it just doesn't feel to me like he would win another one this year. It's just that's rare. That doesn't happen that much anymore. I'm going to go with the young buck. And I feel like with how gifted of a ball striker he is, it's when this kid swings, it is like a well-oiled machine. Everything from the routine down to the waggle to the actual swing, he is a well-oiled machine. Ludwig Oberg is going to take it home this week. Plus 1,400 odds. Are you kidding me? That is a steal. Absolutely. He's taking it home.
I like it.
Yeah.
So I'm doing something again that I probably shouldn't do again, but I feel like it's too easy to take up. Who did I bet last week to win?
I don't even remember.
Well, all right, good, because I'm not going to spoil it. I'm betting the same guy who I bet last week to win this week. He's been one of the best major championship players in the world over the last 3 years. In his past 36 major rounds, he's 6th in strokes gained total, only trailing Scheffler, McAvoy, Schauffele, Morikawa, and surprisingly enough, Will Zalatoris. He plays his best here in Scotland and in England. He's had 6 DP World Tour victories and has beaten some of the best players in the world. He struggled to win in America, but I think
oh my God.
If you can finally win a freaking event, please, for the love of Christ, win it in the British Isles. Tommy Fleetwood. I'm just gonna keep on just like like at this point, his face is on my dartboard. I'm just like gonna keep on firing at it until I hit his eyes out. I think I bet on this man at least 6 times this year. He's let me down every single time. I bet on him last week. We'll see if he does it again.
We've done the same. You and I have both done this with him, along with Cam Young, and I'm just kind of off. It's not that I don't believe in those guys to win. I certainly do believe that they will win, and I do believe both of them will win majors. Yeah. It's just that I personally have picked both of them so many times. I feel like the last 2 years that it's just like I can't keep doing this to myself. Like I'm just gonna find value somewhere else.
But you know what? I think the beauty with Tommy Fleetwood, and again, I go back to what I've been saying. I'm beating the dead horse here. Skill over strength. He's a strong golfer. He can still hit it relatively far. But when it comes to his approach game and around greens and just a clinical approach to the way he plays the game from 150 in, I think it's golden. And he plays so well in the wind. If it isn't raining and he can sling it in 20-mile-an-hour winds, he finds greens. He just knows how to play this kind of style of golf. The link style suits him so well. And last week, the struggle was that the Scottish Open, while, yeah, it is links golf course, there are still trees around. There's not a single tree on this golf course. Like, there's one tree to save them all. That's all you need. He can do it. I really do think so. And I think he just needs that one little push. And you know what? A good tee time, a good morning tee time to start out on the back nine on Thursday can go a really long way. And that's where I'm standing at.
Proud of you. That was very nice.
Man standing on business. With that being said, that has been episode 163, the 152nd Open Championship this week at Royal Troon in Scotland. Of course, follow us on Instagram, social, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, the like, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and of course on YouTube at Get in the Whole Pod, and also the parent company, Underground Sports Philadelphia, Underground Sports PHI. Be sure to give us a follow on every network. Like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think about the show. And, of course, enjoy some major golf this week. Let's get into a rhythm. It's the final end of the longest stretch of peak golf we have this season as we rapidly approach the Olympics and the playoffs. Thanks for listening to Get in the Hole, the official golf podcast of Underground Sports Philadelphia. Catch us every week wherever you get your favorite podcasts, and be sure to like and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Get in the Whole Pod, and follow Underground Sports Philadelphia at Underground PHI. We'll see you next time. And remember, get in the hole!